She trusted her husband until a haircut exposed his abuse. Then she protected her daughter, exposed him, had him sent prison. As Chicago's autumn wind scattered the yellow leaves from the street trees, Elizabeth Collins was making her way home from the real estate office. Though fatigue from the day showed on her face, thinking of her daughter waiting at home naturally lightened her steps. When she arrived at the two-story house in the suburban neighborhood, she could hear Michael preparing dinner in the kitchen. Working as a financial consultant, he often arrived home earlier than Elizabeth and actively helped with household chores. "Welcome home, Elizabeth." Michael greeted his wife with a warm smile. "Did your client meeting run long today?" "Yes, a little." "Where is Emma?" "She is in her room doing homework. She came home late from school today. Apparently she was studying at the library with friends." Elizabeth climbed the stairs and knocked gently on her daughter's door. "Emma, I am home. Welcome back, Mom." 12-year-old Emma turned around, showing a somewhat tired expression. Since starting middle school, Elizabeth had increasingly noticed subtle changes in her daughter's demeanor. She told herself it was probably just the complexity that comes with adolescence. 3 years ago, Elizabeth's life had changed completely. She lost her beloved husband, David, in a sudden traffic accident, and life with 9-year-old Emma began as just the two of them. Though her job at the real estate company was stable, there were times when the weight of responsibility as a single mother raising her daughter felt overwhelming. It was during a workplace training session that she met Michael. Gentle and intelligent, he listened patiently to Elizabeth's concerns and also cared about Emma. What started as friendship gradually developed into something deeper. 2 years ago in spring, they married. Michael seriously considered becoming Emma's new father and actively participated in her school events. Emma, though initially confused, seemed to be opening her heart to Michael's kindness. However, recently subtle changes had begun occurring in the family atmosphere. Emma no longer conversed with Michael as much as before, often spending dinner quietly. Her school grades were also beginning to slip gradually. Adolescence is challenging. Elizabeth was talking with Michael in their bedroom at night. "I feel like Emma is trying to distance herself from us." Michael gently took his wife's hand. "You went through the same age once, did not you? Time will surely resolve this. We should not rush, we just need to match Emma's pace." His words were always rational and kind. One weekend morning, while the three of them were having breakfast, Emma said in a small voice, "The back of my neck hurts." "How does it hurt?" Elizabeth looked at her daughter with concern. "It is kind of throbbing," Emma answered, placing her hand on her neck. Michael calmly suggested, "You might have slept wrong. Let us watch it, and if it continues, we will go to the doctor." About 2 weeks after Emma first complained of neck pain, Elizabeth noticed that her daughter's changes had become more pronounced. Previously, Emma would come home from school and happily share the day's events, but now she would head straight to her room and close the door. "Emma, have you finished your homework?" Elizabeth visited her daughter's room before dinner. "Not yet." Emma lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. Her textbooks were open on the desk but appeared untouched. "Is something troubling you? Will you not talk to Mom about it?" Emma sat up and faced Elizabeth. In that moment, the expression that appeared in her daughter's eyes struck Elizabeth's heart. It was a look of deep fatigue and resignation that a 12-year-old child should not possess. "Nothing is wrong. I am just tired." "Did something happen at school? Are you having trouble with friends?" "I am fine." Emma's voice had become smaller than before. "Do not worry." Elizabeth placed her hand on her daughter's forehead. There was no fever, but Emma shrank back slightly. That night, Michael spoke to Elizabeth. "I talked with Emma. I told her it takes time to adjust to middle school life. How did she react?" "She seemed wary at first, but she smiled a little at the end." "I think you do not need to worry too much." Michael's words should have been reassuring, but the anxiety deep in Elizabeth's chest would not disappear. The following Monday, while Elizabeth was reviewing contracts at the real estate office, her cell phone rang. It was from Emma's middle school. "Is this Mistress Collins?" "This is Mr. Johnson, Emma's homeroom teacher." "Yes. Is something wrong?" "Actually, Emma has been falling asleep in class more frequently these past few days. Sometimes when we call her name, she has trouble waking up." Elizabeth was surprised. Falling asleep? Can you imagine making $10,000 a month just from YouTube, all from home? That is exactly what I did with edited stories. No face, no voice. Check the link in the description if you are curious. I thought I was putting her to bed early enough. Her grades are also declining somewhat. She seems different from the Emma we knew before. Have there been any changes at home? After hanging up, Elizabeth told her colleague she was leaving early and headed home. Though it was still school hours for Emma, the suspicion that she might be staying up late at night crossed her mind. She quietly searched Emma's room. The desk drawers contained only ordinary stationery and small items. Looking under the bed and in the closet, she found no evidence of staying up late. However, she discovered a small flashlight hidden near the pillow. That evening, when Emma came home, Elizabeth gently spoke to her. "Mr. Johnson called today. He mentioned that you sometimes get sleepy during class." Emma's face stiffened. "I just get tired sometimes. Can you not sleep at night? If you have any worries, please talk to Mom. I am really okay." Emma stepped toward the stairs. "Can I go to my room now?" That weekend, Elizabeth took Emma to the pediatrician. Their regular doctor, Dr. Wilson, examined Emma thoroughly, but found no physical abnormalities. Regarding the neck pain, it might be caused by muscle tension, the doctor explained. "Have there been any recent changes in your living environment? New semester stress, changes at home? I remarried 2 years ago, but nothing else in particular. Adolescent children are more sensitive to environmental changes than adults realize. Psychological stress can sometimes manifest as physical symptoms." In the car on the way home, Elizabeth spoke to Emma. The doctor said stress might be the cause. "Are you feeling pressure about something?" Emma answered while looking out the window. "Everyone thinks I am happy. Michael is kind, and we are a perfect family. But it is not perfect. Something is different." Emma's voice trembled. "But if I say that, it would make you sad, Mom." Elizabeth pulled the car over to the shoulder and hugged her daughter. "Emma, everything you feel is important. It hurts me much more to see you suffer than to be sad myself." Emma cried in her mother's arms. However, she still did not try to explain specifically what the problem was. That night, Michael asked with concern, "How was the hospital visit? Physically, there is nothing wrong." But Emma seems to be feeling some kind of stress. "It might be my fault," Michael sighed deeply. "Maybe I should have spent more time with her. Work is busy and I have not been able to talk with her enough lately." His humble attitude renewed Elizabeth's trust in her husband. At the same time, however, she felt the need to think more deeply about why Emma had begun avoiding Michael. The next morning, Emma complained of neck pain again. This time, it seemed stronger than before, and she could barely move her neck. "It even hurts to wash my hair," Emma complained tearfully. Elizabeth noticed that her daughter's hair had grown long. "Then let us go to the beauty salon this Saturday. We will have Jennifer take a look and give you a hairstyle that will not strain your neck." Emma nodded slightly. Saturday morning, Elizabeth and Emma drove to the downtown beauty salon, Rose Salon. The October wind was cold, and people walking through the scattered street leaves had their coat collars turned up. "It has been a while since we have seen Aunt Jennifer." Elizabeth spoke to her daughter while driving. "The last time we went was before summer vacation, was it not?" Emma nodded slightly in the passenger seat. Usually she would look forward to going to the beauty salon, but today she wore a gloomy expression. Whether because her neck pain was severe, even moving her head seemed painful. Rose Salon was a small family-run beauty shop in Chicago's old commercial district. The owner, Jennifer Rose, was a warm woman in her 50s who had known Elizabeth since her single days. She had been cutting Emma's hair since she was born, making her like an aunt to the girl. "Elizabeth, Emma." Jennifer greeted them both with a bright smile. "It has been so long. Emma, your hair has grown quite long. Jennifer, how have you been?" Elizabeth hugged her old friend. Emma's neck has been hurting, so the weight of her hair might be adding to the burden. "Is that so?" Jennifer looked at Emma with concern. "Then let us give you a light cut. Emma, what kind of hairstyle would you like?" Emma answered in a small voice. "Please cut it short, very short." Elizabeth was surprised. Her daughter had always liked her long hair and was usually reluctant about cuts. "Are you sure you want it really short? It has grown so beautifully. Please." Emma's voice held an unusual urgency. Jennifer, as a professional beautician, was skilled at detecting subtle changes in her clients. "I understand. But let us start with the shampoo first. At the shampoo station, Jennifer gently washed Emma's hair. How is school? Have you made new friends? It is okay, Emma's response was brief. When you become a middle schooler, lots of things change. I was the same way long ago, Jennifer continued the conversation. Is everyone in the family doing well? Is Michael a kind daddy? Jennifer felt Emma's body stiffen for a moment. Sitting in the cutting chair, Jennifer began carefully cutting with her scissors. You are sure about cutting it really short? Yes. Emma, you seem tired lately. Is something worrying you? Jennifer looked into Emma's eyes through the mirror. Emma looked away. I am fine. When the hair was cut to shoulder length, Jennifer gathered Emma's long hair at the back to cut neatly around the neck area. At that moment, her hands suddenly stopped. On the back of Emma's neck, just below the hairline, several small blue bruises were visible. Moreover, they were clearly made at different times. Beside old bruises that had turned yellow, there were also new purple ones. Additionally, there were multiple thin scratch marks that looked like they were made by fingernails. The color drained from Jennifer's face. Having been a beautician for over 20 years, she could not fail to understand the meaning of such marks. Elizabeth! Jennifer's voice was shaking. Could you come here? Elizabeth, who had been reading a magazine, noticed her friend's unusual tone and stood up. What is wrong? Look at this, Jennifer said quietly while gently lifting Emma's hair. The moment Elizabeth saw the back of her daughter's neck through the mirror, all the blood drained from her body. Multiple blue bruises, scratch marks, and pressure marks that looked like finger impressions. They were hidden below the hairline, but became clearly visible when the hair was lifted. Emma! Elizabeth's voice became tremulous. What is this? Since when? When Emma met her mother's eyes in the mirror, tears overflowed. Mom, please do not say anything. Who did this to you? Elizabeth knelt beside her daughter. Emma, tell me, I cannot. Emma shook her head while crying. I promised. If I tell, something worse will happen. Jennifer checked that there were no other customers before putting a temporarily closed sign on the salon entrance. Emma, this is a safe place. No one here will hurt you. But Mom, Emma sobbed. If Mom gets hurt too, it will be my fault. With those words, Elizabeth understood everything. Someone was threatening her daughter, and that person was threatening to harm her as well. Emma, listen. Elizabeth took her daughter's hands. Mom is strong. I will do anything to protect you. So please tell me the truth. Emma remained silent for a long time, but eventually began speaking in a trembling voice. Michael. Elizabeth's heart felt like it stopped. Since when? About 6 months ago. At first it was just words. Your mother is always working and does not value time with me. You are in the way too. And then on nights when Mom worked late, he would come to my room. He would grab my neck and say, if you tell your mother next time, I will do the same thing to her. Elizabeth hugged her daughter. Her heart felt like it was breaking from her own helplessness, and knowing that her daughter had endured this terror alone. The injuries on your neck? Jennifer asked gently. I did them myself, Emma answered in a small voice. I thought if I made a different reason, I could hide what Michael did to me. Elizabeth stood up. Anger and determination filled her entire body. Jennifer, where is the nearest police station? 3 blocks away. But Emma, put on your coat, Elizabeth said to her daughter. We are going to the police right now. But Michael will. It is okay now, Mom will protect you. Absolutely. Jennifer quickly arranged Emma's hair and wrapped a towel around her neck. We should probably take photos in this condition too. The 3 of them left the beauty salon and walked through the afternoon sunlight. Emma gripped her mother's hand tightly, occasionally looking back as they walked. You are not alone anymore, Elizabeth promised her daughter. From now on, whatever happens, we will face it together. At the heavy doors of the police station, Emma looked back one last time. Then, taking a deep breath, she went inside with her mother. The Chicago Police Department's Child Protection Unit maintained a system to handle emergencies even on Saturday afternoons. When they explained the situation at the reception desk, Detective Sarah Hartman, a woman, immediately appeared. In her early 40s, she was a child abuse specialist known for her calm manner and warm gaze. Mistress Collins, Emma, please come this way. Sarah led them to a quiet interview room. For Emma to relax first, could you wait in a separate room, Mom? Elizabeth looked at Emma anxiously. Will you be okay alone? Emma nodded slightly. After her confession at the beauty salon, something had changed within her. Though fear remained, she showed an expression of being somewhat freed from the burden of keeping secrets. "It is okay, Emma," Sarah smiled gently. "This is a safe place. You can go at your own pace and tell me only what you can talk about." An hour later, Sarah came to Elizabeth in the waiting room with a serious expression. From what Emma told me, Sarah chose her words carefully as she sat down. Abuse definitely occurred. However, the situation is more complex than we initially imagined. "What do you mean?" "Michael Harrison was indeed a kind stepfather when you first married, but according to Emma's testimony, he changed around last spring, when your work became busy and you started working more overtime." Sarah continued while looking at her notes. "It started with verbal threats, content like, 'Your mother prioritizes work over me. You are an obstacle too.'" Elizabeth gasped. Indeed, last year she had been assigned a major project and worked a lot of overtime. According to Emma, Michael began visiting her room on nights when you came home late. At 2 or 3 in the morning, at those hours, he would quietly open the door, approach her bed, grab her neck with both hands and threaten her. "If you tell your mother, she will suffer the same fate next time," Elizabeth asked in a trembling voice. "Anything else?" That seems to be the extent of the physical violence. However, the psychological threats were persistent. He repeatedly subjected her to words like, "If you were not here, we could be happy, and your father died because you bring misfortune." Tears overflowed from Elizabeth's eyes. Using her husband's death as a tool to torment her daughter was unforgivable. Emma was injuring her own neck to hide the marks Michael made. If she said, "Michael did this, he might hurt you," so she tried to make it look like she was injured for another reason. My daughter carrying such thoughts alone. Elizabeth covered her face with her hands. Sarah stood up and placed her hand on Elizabeth's shoulder. "Emma was very brave and she loves you deeply. What she feared most was you getting hurt. What was Michael's motive? We will investigate this in detail, but judging from Emma's testimony, he apparently wanted to have children with you. He felt Emma's presence was in the way. We have discussed having children, but I felt Emma was enough. That was probably unacceptable to him. He did not have children with his ex-wife either, did he?" Elizabeth nodded. Michael had not spoken much about his relationship with his ex-wife. She had only heard something like, fertility treatments did not work out and the stress of that led to divorce. "I am going to your house now with a colleague." Sarah stood up. "We will bring Michael to the station for voluntary questioning. We will also investigate Emma's room for evidence preservation." 2 hours later, Sarah called. "We have arrested Michael Harrison." "Arrested?" "We found important evidence in Emma's room. A small recorder was hidden under her bed. Michael's threatening voice is clearly recorded." Elizabeth was surprised. "Emma made recordings? She is a smart child. She probably thought to keep it as evidence. This recording can be used in court." "What did Michael say?" "He denied it at first, but confessed when we played the recording. We also found numerous abusive messages to his ex-wife on his cell phone. Apparently, his ex-wife also suffered psychological domestic violence from him." That night, Elizabeth and Emma stayed at a hotel near the police station. Returning home was still too heavy for both of them. Sitting side by side on the bed, Elizabeth took her daughter's hand. "I am sorry, Emma. Mom should have noticed. It is not Mom's fault." Emma showed the most peaceful expression she had displayed in months. "At first, I thought Michael would really become my dad. When did things change last spring when Mom got busy with the new project? At first, he would laugh and say, 'Your mom is quite the career woman,' but gradually he stopped laughing." Elizabeth's heart was gripped with pain. In focusing on work, she had missed the subtle changes in her family. "Even so, I could bear it for a while. But when he started coming to my room at night," Emma's voice became small. "I became too scared to sleep." "So, you fell asleep at school?" "Yes, but I did not want to worry the teacher, so I acted normal at home." The next day, Sunday, Sarah brought additional information. Michael's ex-wife, Jessica Harrison, had visited the police station and provided important testimony. According to her, Michael changed after the failure of fertility treatments, Sarah explained. At first, he was a kind husband, but gradually became aggressive about not having children, eventually subjecting her to abuse like, "It is your fault, and you do not deserve to be a mother." So, that led to divorce. Yes, and even after marrying you, he apparently felt Emma's presence was interfering with his ideal new family. Elizabeth sighed deeply. I trusted him. You did nothing wrong, Sarah stated firmly. Manipulative people initially play the perfect partner. What is important is that Emma is safe now. At that moment, Emma spoke up. Mom, let us live somewhere new, just the two of us. Elizabeth hugged her daughter. Let us do that this time as a real family. During the trial preparation period, Elizabeth decided to investigate Michael's past in detail. Hiring a private investigator revealed records of psychological domestic violence against his ex-wife Jessica, a history of violent behavior due to fertility treatment stress, and evidence that he had repeated similar patterns in relationships with other women. Michael had skillfully hidden his true nature, continuing to play the ideal man. As Emma's counseling progressed, it became clear that the abuse had actually begun much earlier than 6 months ago, not recently as first thought. It started with subtle verbal abuse and gradually escalated to physical threats. Emma had maintained her silence for a long time, determined to protect her mother. 1 year later in spring, Michael Harrison was sentenced to 8 years in prison for child abuse and intimidation. In court, he maintained to the end that it was discipline. But Emma's recordings and multiple testimonies made his excuses ineffective. In prison, he was treated harshly by other inmates, as someone who abused children and was forced to live in protective custody, according to what they heard. Ex-wife Jessica sent Elizabeth a letter. You did nothing wrong. I was also deceived by his kindness at first. It took time for us to realize, not because we were at fault, but because he was cunning. These words gave Elizabeth comfort. On the recommendation of a psychological counselor, Elizabeth and Emma decided to exchange emotion diaries once a week. They promised to write about anything, no matter how small, without hiding from each other. Today at school, friends complimented my short hair. I felt happy like I became a new me. Emma's diary read. Elizabeth wrote in response, Your courage saved both of us. I learned that being imperfect but honest is much more important than performing as a perfect family. They moved to a new apartment. Though smaller than before, it was a warm space filled with bright sunlight. On the living room wall, they hung a picture of the promised tree they had drawn together. The large tree's branches had many small leaves drawn on them with words like honesty, trust, love, and courage written on each leaf. It was a promise they created together, meaning let us extend even our smallest worries like branches and share them. Emma's grades gradually recovered, and she made new friends at middle school. Using what she learned in counseling, when she saw classmates in trouble, she began saying, Do not keep it to yourself. Elizabeth reconsidered her work pace and began treasuring time with her daughter more. They decided that Saturday mornings would be their special time together, spending it taking walks or cooking together. One evening after dinner, Emma said, Mom, I think we have become a real family. What do you mean? Before I thought I had to make everyone happy, but now I can say when I am sad that I am sad and when I am scared that I am scared, and Mom still loves me. Elizabeth took her daughter's hand. That is what real love is, unconditional love for who you are just as you are. A true family, they learned, is not about form or appearances, but about having the courage to illuminate any darkness together. And that courage became the foundation of their new life. In the quiet evenings of their new apartment, as the city lights flickered outside the window, Elizabeth often sat with Emma on the couch, wrapped in a shared blanket, and opened her heart in ways she never had before. She would hold her daughter's hand gently and speak softly about the storm of emotions that had raged inside her since the day the truth came crashing down. I blamed myself endlessly at first, Elizabeth confessed one night, her voice trembling with the weight of regret. How could I have been so blind? I brought him into our home, thinking he would complete us, make us whole again after losing your real dad. I saw the changes in you, the quiet dinners, the slipping grades, the way you pulled away, and I told myself it was just growing up, just the pains of being 12. But deep down, a part of me knew something was wrong, and I ignored it because facing it would mean admitting I had failed you as a mother. The guilt eats at me still, like a shadow I can't shake. I feel angry too, not just at Michael for his monstrous deception, but at myself for trusting him, for putting my need for companionship above your safety. Tears would well in Elizabeth's eyes as she continued, pulling Emma closer. There were moments of pure heartbreak, realizing you carried this terror alone to protect me. You were so brave, my sweet girl, scratching your own neck to hide his marks, staying silent because you thought it would keep me safe. It shatters me to think of the nights you lay awake in fear while I slept unaware down the hall. I feel sorrow for the family I thought we were building, grief for the innocence stolen from you, and a fierce burning rage at how he manipulated us both, using your father's memory as a weapon, twisting kindness into control. Yet, amid the pain, Elizabeth's voice would soften with hope, but through all this darkness, I felt something stronger growing inside me. Gratitude for your courage in speaking up, relief that we escaped his grip, and an overwhelming love that has only deepened. You've taught me what real strength is, Emma. Rebuilding our life just the two of us has shown me that healing isn't about forgetting. It's about facing the hurt together, sharing these feelings without fear. I'm proud of us, of how far we've come. The pain lingers, yes, but so does our bond, unbreakable now. We've turned our scars into a promise. No more secrets, no more pretending. Just honesty, love, and the light we create for each other. In these vulnerable sharings, Elizabeth found catharsis, and Emma, listening quietly, began to open up more, their conversations weaving a tapestry of mutual understanding that mended the fractures of their past.